Night falls over a coffee plantation on the slopes of Sumatra. The air is thick, humid, alive with insects, and moving silently through the branches above the coffee trees is a creature most people will never see. A small, cat-like shadow with a ringed tail and a nose that misses nothing. This is the Asian palm civet, and tonight it's about to start a process that will end, months from now, in a cup of coffee that sells for more than gold, by weight. Not because of what the civet does to the coffee, because of what its body does to it, without trying, without knowing, simply by eating dinner. The Asian palm civet, Paradoxurus hermaphroditus, is not rare. It's found across South and Southeast Asia, in forests, plantations, even the rafters of houses. It's nocturnal, solitary, and about the size of a large house cat, though it isn't a cat at all. It's more closely related to mongooses. Locally, it's called the musang. Its diet is whatever the forest offers: fruit, insects, the occasional rodent. But during harvest season, coffee cherries, the small red fruit that coffee beans grow inside of, become a favorite. And this is where the civet's most underrated skill comes in. It doesn't eat cherries at random. Its sense of smell is extraordinary, tuned to detect sugar concentration and ripeness before it ever bites down. Coffee farmers have known this for centuries. A civet will walk past a branch of unripe, green cherries and climb straight to the one cluster that's dead ripe. It is, without any training, without any human instruction, a fruit sommelier. It selects better than most human pickers do. It eats the fruit, and then it swallows the seed inside, whole. What happens next takes about 24 hours, and it happens entirely out of sight, inside the civet's gut. The soft outer fruit gets digested normally, broken down for energy, the way any fruit would be. But the coffee bean itself, protected by a tough inner layer called the parchment, survives the trip. It doesn't get destroyed by stomach acid. It gets marinated by it. As the bean sits in the civet's digestive tract, enzymes, proteases and lipases seep through that parchment layer and start working on the bean from the outside in. They break down proteins into shorter chains of amino acids. They alter the fats. At the same time, an entire community of gut bacteria, a microbiome dominated by a genus called Gluconobacter, ferments the bean's sugars and reshapes its chemistry, hour by hour, in total darkness, inside a living animal that has no idea it's doing anything remarkable at all. This is not digestion in the way we usually think about it. Nothing about the bean is destroyed. It's transformed. Bitterness compounds break down, acids soften, and by the time the bean emerges, intact, whole, recognizably a coffee bean, it has been chemically rewritten by a process no factory has ever been able to replicate. And emerges means exactly what you think it means. The civet defecates the beans, parchment and all, onto the forest floor. And for over 100 years, people have been collecting them. Once cleaned, dried, hulled, and roasted, the same as any coffee bean, the difference shows up in the cup. Lower acidity, a heavier, smoother body, less of the sharp bitterness you'd get from the same bean processed the ordinary way. Some drinkers describe it as earthy, syrupy, almost caramelized, the sensory fingerprint of 24 hours spent fermenting inside a wild animal's intestines. It's called kopi luwak, and it is, gram for gram, the most expensive coffee on earth. Wild collected kopi luwak, beans gathered from the forest floor, from civets nobody caged or controlled, can sell for over $1,000 a kilogram. People are paying, quite literally, for an animal's unsupervised digestive process. And the strange part is, the science backs up why it's worth something. The chemistry is real. The transformation is real. This is a genuine flavor mechanism, built entirely by a wild animal's gut doing what guts do. But here's where the story gets complicated, and where the wonder has to sit next to something harder to look at. Once people realized this coffee could sell for a fortune, the wild, unpredictable version wasn't fast enough for the market. So farms started caging civets, hundreds of them at a time, and force-feeding them coffee cherries around the clock, nothing else. In cramped, stressful conditions civets were never built to tolerate. Investigations over the past decade have documented animals in these farms showing signs of chronic stress, and welfare studies have found that not a single caged civet examined met all of the basic standards for humane treatment. The coffee from those animals is different too, not just ethically, but literally. A civet eating only forced cherries with no variety, no wild diet, no natural selectivity, produces beans with a flatter, simpler chemistry than one that spent its life foraging freely and choosing exactly what it wanted to eat. Industry estimates suggest the vast majority of kopi luwak, sold worldwide today, comes from caged animals, some of it deliberately mislabeled as wild to justify the price. So the same mechanism that makes this coffee remarkable, a wild animal, acting entirely on its own instincts, transforming a fruit through its own biology, is also the exact thing the caged version destroys. You can't manufacture the wonder. You can only let it happen, or fake it. Somewhere in that Sumatran forest tonight, a wild civet is doing what it's always done. Climbing, smelling, choosing the ripest cherry on the branch, with absolutely no awareness that its digestive tract has become one of the most sought-after flavor labs on the planet. It isn't trying to make anything. It's just surviving, the way it has for millions of years, eating what the forest gives it. The coffee is a byproduct. The transformation is a side effect. And maybe that's the part worth sitting with. Some of nature's most extraordinary chemistry isn't designed for us at all. We just happened to notice and decided it was worth chasing, cage or no cage. Nature didn't build this process to impress anyone. It built it to keep one small, nocturnal animal alive. Everything else, the price tag, the prestige, the controversy, that's just what happens when we go looking for magic in places that were never meant to perform for us.